Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 5, Text number 20. Tasmad bhavanto hridayena jataha Sarve mahiyam samamum sanabham Aklishta buddhya bharatam bhajadvam Shushrushanam tad bharanam prajanam. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. My dear boys, you are all born of my heart, which is the seat of all spiritual qualities. Therefore, you should not be like materialistic and envious men. You should accept your eldest brother, Bharata, who is exalted in devotional service. If you engage yourselves in Bharata's service, your service to him will include my service, and you will rule the citizens automatically. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In this verse, the word Hridaya indicates the heart, which is also called Uraha, the chest. The heart is situated within the chest, and although instrumentally the son is born with the aid of the genitals, he is actually born from within the heart. According to the heart's situation, the semen takes the form of a body. Therefore, according to the Vedic system, when one begets a child, his heart should be purified through the ritualistic ceremony known as Garbhodhana. Rishabhadeva's heart was always uncontaminated and spiritual. Consequently, all the sons born from the heart of Rishabhadeva were spiritually inclined. Nonetheless, Rishabhadeva suggested that his eldest son was superior, and he advised the others to serve him. All the brothers of Bharat Maharaj were advised by Rishabhadeva to adhere to Bharata's service. The question may be asked, why one should be attached to family members? For in the beginning it was advised that one should not be attached to home and family. However, it is also advised, Mahiyamsam Padarajo Bhishekam. One has to serve the Mahiyan, one who is very spiritually advanced. Mahat Sevam Dwaram Ahuhur Vimuktehe. By serving the Mahat, the exalted devotee, one's path for liberation is open. The family of Rishabhadeva should not be compared to an ordinary materialistic family. Bharat Maharaj, Rishabhadeva's eldest son, was specifically very exalted. For this reason, the other sons were advised to serve him for his pleasure. That was to be their duty. The Supreme Lord was advising Bharata Maharaj to be the chief ruler of the planet. This is the real plan of the Supreme Lord. In the battle of Kurukshetra, we find that Lord Krishna wanted Maharaj Yudhishthira to be the supreme emperor of this planet. He never wanted Duryodhana to take the post. As stated in the previous verse, Lord Rishabhadeva's heart is Hridayam Yatra Dharmaha. The characteristic dharma is also explained in Bhagavad Gita, surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. to protect dharma, paritranaya sadhunam. The Lord always wants the ruler of the earth to be a devotee. Then everything goes on nicely for the benefit of everyone. So as soon as a demon rules the earth, everything becomes chaotic. At the present moment, the world is inclined toward the democratic process. But the people in general are all contaminated by the modes of passion and ignorance. Consequently, they cannot select the right person to head the government. The president is selected by the votes of ignorant Shudras. Therefore, another Shudra is elected and immediately the entire government becomes polluted. If people strictly followed the principles of Bhagavad Gita, they would elect a person who is the Lord's devotee. Then automatically there would be good government. Rishabhadeva therefore recommended Bharat Maharaj to be the emperor, as the emperor of this planet. Serving a devotee means serving the Supreme Lord. For a devotee always represents the Lord. When a devotee is in charge, the government is always congenial and beneficial for everyone. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. So this chapter in the 5th canto is called Lord Rishabhadeva's teachings. And these are his teachings to his own son, which we have been reading. So, in the last verse, Rishabhadeva, who is Lord himself, said, Idam shariram mama durvibhavyam. My form, my sharira, my body, my transcendental body is not conceivable. Durvibhavyam is difficult to understand. Sattvam hi me hridayam yatra dharmaha. And in my heart resides dharma. So, Rishabhadeva has said, his body is spiritual and durvibhavyam, inconceivable for the mind, and my heart is where dharma resides. And so in today's verse, continuing, tasmad, therefore, whenever the word tasmad comes, you must know that from the previous discussion, something is being concluded. Tasmad bhavanto hrudayena jataha. Bhavantaha, all of you, he's talking to his sons. Hrudayena jataha. All of you are born from my heart. Sarve mahiyamsam amum sanabham. All of you are sanabha. Nabha means nabhi. Sanabha means brothers who have shared the same nabhi. Sanabha. Sarve mahiyamsam. You're all expected to be great personalities. Aklishta buddhya bharatam bhajadvam. Bharata is your eldest son, brother, Rishabhadeva's eldest son. Bharatam bhajadvam. You should render service to him. And how you should do it? Aklishta buddhya. With intelligence which is not contaminated by the material modes. Bharatam bhajadvam. Shushrushanam. And if you do that, it will be service to me also. Tad bharanam prajanam. It will also be taking care of protecting the prajas. So, Prabhupada translates, my dear brothers, Sanabha, my dear boys, you're all born of my heart. Bhavanto hrudayena jataha. You're all born from my heart, which is the seat of all spiritual qualities. Therefore, you should not be like materialistic and envious men. You are born from my heart. You should not be like materialistic men and envious men. So, you're all expected to be great persons. Therefore, you should accept your eldest brother Bharata, who is exalted in devotional service. If you engage yourselves in Bharata's service, Bharatam bhajadvam, your service to him will include my service, Shushrushanam, Tad Bharanam Prajanam, and you will rule the citizens automatically. Citizens, Prajanam, Bharanam, you will fulfill their requirements, protect them, Bharanam. And so this is a very nice translation by Srila Prabhupada to convey the spirit, to convey the meaning, to convey that essence of what Rishabhadeva is telling his sons. My dear boys, you are all born of my heart, which is the seat of all spiritual qualities. Therefore, you should not be like materialistic and envious men. There is a similar instruction of Srila Prabhupada that we should not be ordinary people. As devotees, we should not be like just ordinary materialistic people. Once Srila Prabhupada was traveling in a flight from Mauritius to Durban, South Africa. And those days in the flight, you can choose in the flight there was a portion of the flight called smoking section. And there was a portion of the flight which is non-smoking. And devotees had chosen for Prabhupada seats in the non-smoking area. And so Prabhupada was sitting, and in the non-smoking area, there was his servant, one devotee who recalls this incident, sitting next to him. And when the flight took off, after a little while, there was a football players team in the flight. And they all got up from their seats and they came in front of the area where Prabhupada and his servant were seated. And they started speaking loudly and they started smoking also. So this devotee was naturally, Srila Prabhupada is next to me. And these people, how they are talking so loudly, not mindful of that there is Srila Prabhupada here. And smoking also. So he called the flight attendant and said, please tell them that this is a non-smoking area. And they are smoking and they are creating so much disturbance. And so that woman said, yes, I will tell them. And she went and told them, please do not smoke here, please don't be here. And she went away. But those people were, don't care for anybody. That kind of people. They were still smoking. They were still talking loudly. And so after a little while, this devotee saw all this and he thought he should do something. And he tried to get up from his seat. Prabhupada told him, sit down. And Srila Prabhupada said something important. He said, what's the difference between us and them if we cannot tolerate these kind of disturbances? Don't be an ordinary foolish common man. So in other words, Srila Prabhupada said that we as devotees, we should not be just like common people who get disturbed, who get irritated. And we are supposed to be devotees. What's the difference between us and them? This is similar to the instruction, my dear boys, you are all born of my heart, which is the seat of all spiritual qualities. Therefore, you should not be like materialistic and envious men. So it is expected of us as devotees that we don't behave and be like ordinary materialistic people. We are supposed to be better than them. Now, very often we come across this instruction in Prabhupada's books that devotees are actually much better, much higher than common people. And so we all understand that we are all better than common people. But unfortunately, that translates into arrogance among some devotees. That is not what is expected. I'm superior. See? And you are all karmis. So that is why it is said, dharma sthapana hetu sadhur vyavahara. Dharma sthapana hetu sadhur vyavahara. Sadhur vyavahara means, this is said in Chaitanya Charitamrita in the context of Madhavendra Puri. Madhavendra Puri, we know that story of Remuna, when Krishna had hidden some sweet rice for him and gave instruction to the pujari that I have hidden some sweet rice, go and deliver that to Madhavendra Puri. And so the pujari followed that instruction and he went to in the middle of the night, he went to the altar. And he saw behind the curtain there were 2 pots of sweet rice. Although the pujari thought that I had picked up all the sweet rice pots after the offering, Gopinath had kept away for Madhavendra Puri. And so he took the pot of sweet rice and went in search of Madhavendra Puri. Told him he is somewhere in the marketplace. Lord told him in the dream, and so he went around. Is there somebody, Madhavendra Puri? And then Madhavendra Puri said, yes, I am that person. So he said, you are that person? Delivered the sweet rice, paid obeisance to him, and told him what had happened. Because Madhavendra Puri had desired that I should taste some sweet rice, so that I can offer to my Lord, his deity. But then he corrected himself. No, how can I think of eating sweet rice like this? There is some contamination in my heart. I want to enjoy. No, I must serve the Lord, not enjoy the Lord. Like that. So he was contemplating like that and he said, no, I have committed a big aparad, and he went away from the temple. Although he was waiting to get that famous sweet rice, he went away from the temple to the marketplace, and so Krishna stole, Gopinath stole. That's why he's known as Kshirachora Gopinath, right? So when this happens, of course Madhavendra Puri very respectfully receives that prasadam, And that same night, he leaves the village and goes away incognito to another place, because next morning, this pujari will tell the story to everybody, and everybody will come and say, "Oh, you are that Madhavendra Puri." Everyone will come and pay obeisance to him, give him a garland, carry him. You don't know what they will do. I go away from him. I don't want all these things. In that context, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami writes, Dharma sthapana hetu sadhur vyavahara. The behavior of a sadhu establishes the purpose of religious principles. Our behavior, we are all sadhus, at least externally. Sadhu is somebody who lives by begging. Our life is conducted by begging donation from people, and we are leading a life. So we should remember that. So, our vyavahara, our behavior should establish the purpose of religious principles. Dharma sthapana hetu sadhur vyavahara. So how careful we have to be in our behavior. So, very often we hear devotees, we come across in management, this devotee Prabhu, the way he treats his driver, this is not right. That driver is a karmi after all. You see, this is not the attitude. Sometimes we hear in management, Prabhu, devotees, very difficult to deal. Employees tell. They have had a bad experience dealing with the devotees. This is not right. We have to be very gentle. We have to be careful. We should not think, although we are, yes, the Shastras say, this is an exalted position, devotee. That should not translate into arrogance, but that should translate into gratitude. How the Lord has blessed me with this opportunity to serve. I should be grateful to the Lord. I should be grateful to the Guru. I should be grateful to all those who are instrumental. And even Srila Prabhupada said this. I will be judged based on your behavior. Prabhupada said, by our behavior, Prabhupada is judged. In fact, that happens many times. People, employees who have bad experience with devotees' behavior, they'll go and talk. They all say, sadhus, Krishna's devotees, Prabhupada disciples, but look at them, behavior. It's very serious. We have to be very careful with our junior devotees, could be with employees, could be with drivers, could be with somebody who is rendering some service in the institution, in our institution. We should not be like ordinary people who treat them. Ordinarily people do such things. Envious people treat them badly. So, dharma sthapana hetu sadhur vyavahar. Our behavior from that dharma sthapana, principles of religion are demonstrated, are established by our behavior. So it's a grave position. We should not take it lightly. So, Rishabhadeva is saying, "My dear sons, you are all born of my heart, which is the seat of all spiritual qualities. Therefore, you should not be like materialistic and envious men." We read this in the previous verse also and in this verse also. Tasmad bhavanto hridayena jataha idam shariram mama durvibhavyam Sattvam hi me hridayam yatra dharmaha. Dharmaha resides in my heart. And from that heart you are all born, Rishabhadeva is saying. So, dharmaha is translated, last time we discussed. Prabhupada translates this as devotional service. Dharmaha. The real platform of religion, Bhakti Yoga. My heart is also spiritual and I always think of the welfare of my devotees. Therefore, within my heart can be found the process of devotional service, which is meant for the devotees. Translation. Dharmaha, Prabhupada saying, Rishabhadeva's heart is the resting place of dharma, and from that heart, my son, you sons, all of you, my dear sons, you are born. And so Prabhupada is saying, actually, how is it said that from the heart the children are born, sons are born? It's actually anatomically from the genitals they are born. So Prabhupada is giving the reasoning. Actually, according to the consciousness of the father and the mother, a right soul is selected by the Daivanetrena, by the laws of nature, and that soul is presented that soul enters the semen and enters the mother's womb. So it depends on the condition of the heart. And hence, it is correct to say, Tasmat bhavanto hridayena jataha. That is why the system of Garbhodhana Samskara is to keep the father and the mother in the right state of consciousness so that they will be able to attract a good soul and a good child is born. This is the arrangement in the Vedic culture. So, this dharma, Krishna says in the Gita, dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. It's a famous verse. And here, dharma, actually dharma here is referring to the Bhagavata dharma. Kaumaram acharet pragno dharman bhagavatan iha. Kaumaram acharet pragno dharman bhagavatan. Bhagavata dharman acharataha. Kaumaram acharataha. From a very young age, this Bhagavata dharma should be practiced according to Prahalad Maharaj. So, it is referring to the Bhagavata dharma is nothing but devotional service. Then this question comes, why does Krishna, who comes to establish dharma, in the end say, Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam raja? You see? So, there is dharma in the Vedic literatures, the way it is dealt with. There are certain activities which are inferior and certain activities which are superior. Krishna is saying all of those inferior activities you should give up, and the highest activity, which is to surrender to me. I'll read this verse from Prabhupada, from Chaitanya Charitamrita. You will understand how this is clarified in the Vedic literature. This is a context of Chaitanya Charitamrita, what has happened. Sanatan Goswami, Sakara Malik, heard about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was in the service of Nawab Hussain, a Mughal ruler in Gauda Desha, Muslim ruler in Gauda Desha. And now when he heard about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has appeared and he is doing his Sankirtana Leela, he is moving around, he made up his mind that I must go. And he and Rupa Goswami, the two brothers. So he gave reason to the Nawab that he is not well, and he stopped going and attending to the duties. His duties as a minister, advisor to the king. And what he started doing was he was staying at home under the pretext that he is not well. He had sent word like that. And what he was doing is being discussed here. Bhattacharya Pandita Bisha Trisha Lana Bhagavata Vichara Karena Sabhata Boshiya. He called Bhattacharya Pandita, learned Panditas. And how many he called? Bisha Trisha Lana. About 20-30. Bisha Trisha Lana. But Bhattacharya Pandita. He brought them. And with them, Bhagavata Vichara Karena Sabhata Boshiya. He made them all, he sat with them and he was discussing Bhagavata Vichara. Now he had heard about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He is spreading the Bhagavata Dharma, and so he was more interested and he started discussing. Translation. Sri Sanatan Goswami used to discuss Srimad Bhagavatam in an assembly of 20 or 30 learned Brahmana scholars. Purport. Very important. Few minutes extra. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura gives the following commentary on the words Bhagavat Vichara. Bhagavat Vichara Karena Sabhata Boshiya. He sat with them and was discussing Bhagavat Vichara. What is this Bhagavat Vichara? Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is explaining that, commenting on that. As confirmed in the Mandaka Upanishad, there are two kinds of educational systems. You see, this is a very striking thing you will see here. And Prabhupada is quoting Mandaka Upanishad. This is in the Upanishads. Dve vidye veditavya iti. Dve vidye veditavya iti. Veditavya, to be understood. Dve vidye, two kinds of education. Two kinds of vidya. Dve vidye veditavya iti. In this way. Hasma yad brahmavido vadanti. Who says this? Brahmavidaha. Those who are knowers of the truth say this. And what are they saying? Dve vidye veditavya iti. Hasma yad brahmavido vadanti. Para cha eva apara cha. Paravidya and aparavidya. These are the two kinds of vidya. Further. So, Brahmano vidante para cha chaivapara cha. Tatra apara rigvedo yajurvedaha samavedo atharvavedaha shiksha kalpo Vyakaranam, Niruktam, Chando, Jyotisham iti. There is a list here, and it says all of this constitute Aparavidya. What is that? Aparavidya, Rigvedo, Yajurvedaha, Samavedo, Atharvavedaha, Shiksha, Kalpaha, Vyakarana, Niruktam, Chando, Jyotishamiti. Atha, Para, Yayatad Aksharam Adhigamyate. Understanding that Akshara constitutes Paravidya. All of these are Aparavidya. Translation. There are two kinds of educational systems. One deals with transcendental knowledge, Paravidya, and the other with material knowledge, Aparavidya. All the Vedas, the Rig Veda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, and Atharva Veda, along with their corollaries known as Shiksha, Kalpa, Vyakarana, Nirukta, Chanda, and Jyotisha, belong to the inferior system of material knowledge, Aparavidya. By Paravidya, one can understand the Akshara, Brahman, or the absolute truth. See, this is in the Mundaka Upanishad. What is Paravidya and Aparavidya? And Paravidya related to Akshara, Adhigamyate. When you cultivate Paravidya, it results in understanding of Akshara. And in the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna says this about when Arjuna saw Vishwarupa of Krishna. These are Arjuna's words. Tvamaksharam paramam veditavyam. Tvamasya vishwasya param nidhanam. Tvamavyaya shashvata dharmagopta. Sanatanastvam purusho mato me. Tvam aksharam paramam veditavyam. Similar word, veditavyam. So Arjuna is saying that Krishna, you are the Akshara Brahma, Akshara Paramam Brahma. You are that. Now I am understanding. I used to think that you are my cousin. I used to think you are my charioteer. I used to think that I can give orders to you. But now I understand, you are the Akshara Brahma Paramam who is to be understood. So, this point that understanding the absolute truth, that is the most important thing in the Bhagavata. Other literatures are gradually bringing us to the point of understanding, because the Vedas are generally about rituals, performing yajnas and mantras for various devatas so that we please them, and and when they are satisfied, they will bless us with material benefits. Largely the Vedas are all about that. And that's why Mundaka Upanishad is saying that it is called Aparavidya. Now, one last point. Prabhupada mentions here that Rishabhadeva wanted everyone to follow Bharata, and Bharata was a great devotee. And in this way, we should have, if today in the modern society, democratic system is the chosen system. That's what Prabhupada is saying. At the present moment, the world is inclined toward democratic process. But the people in general are all contaminated by the modes of passion and ignorance. They are ignorant, and so they will elect another ignorant person. So this is the unfortunate thing. And so in elsewhere, Prabhupada says, but there is a great hope also. If we spread Krishna consciousness and more people understand about Krishna, then they will elect another Krishna conscious leader. And then it is possible to capture a democratic power also. So in other words, we have to preach to more and more people. So I wanted to share with you all an experience. This is 10 days back. In the airport here in Bangalore, I met one airport staff, a young woman, less than 30. And so I asked her, when you meet somebody, what do you generally ask? Have you visited our temple? And she said, yes, I have visited your temple. I said, very good. And then she asked me, sir, where did you come from? So I said, I came from Delhi, I came from Vrindavan. And when I said Vrindavan, there was a blankness on her face, like she has never heard of that place or something. So I said, Mathura, Vrindavan. There was still blankness on her face. And then I asked her, Mathura, do you know where Mathura is? She said, no. Have you heard of Mathura? She said, no. Then I got a little scared. Maybe I'm talking to somebody. So, are you Hindu? Right, I'm talking to someone else. I should be careful. So I asked her, yes, I am Hindu. Where do you live? Basveshwar Nagar. Have you come to our temple? Yes, I have come. Janmashtami, have you observed? Yes, Janmashtami, I have come sometimes also it will be very crowded. Then do you know where Krishna was born, how he was born in a prison? You know that story? No. I don't know that story. It was so shocking to me. Somebody who is a Hindu, lives near our temple, never heard of, come to our temple many times, never heard of Mathura, never heard of Vrindavan, never heard of how Krishna was born in a prison, all these things. So we have a lot to preach. We have a lot more to do to spread Krishna consciousness. So, Srila Prabhupada wants us to spread this knowledge so that more and more people know about Krishna consciousness. So this was like a shocking revelation for. We'll stop here. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.